I am a mother, stepmother, daughter, sister, friend, and teacher. I was born in the US. My parents came here. My father in 1961 and my mother in 1969 after they had married. Oh, to be a woman. I think growing up in a traditional house where, my mom stayed at home. My dad was a longshoreman for 42 years. My mom raised all of us while he worked hard, and that was the traditional roles. For me, I feel like being a woman means that I have to be the best daughter, the best mother, the best stepmother, the best wife, the best friend, and I just put so much onto myself and who I am in all of those different categories. Sometimes it's manageable and sometimes it's not, but I think that to be a woman you have to fulfill every role in your life as best as possible. I feel this immense sense of a need to accomplish things and to help everyone. I think that putting myself behind everyone else has always been a role that I've been accustomed to. And I feel like because that's how my mother was and is, that it's just taught me to be who I am. And that's what women do. They carry the weight of the world on their shoulders and smile and make it look so easy even when it's not. I remember that I wanted to go to college to get my early childhood degree in the morning. And then in the evening, I wanted to go to a separate college to get my mechanics degree so that I could always fix my cars without ever having to rely on a man to do it. She didn't agree. As the youngest child with 4 older brothers, it was an everyday thing that I wished that I was a boy, just because they were allowed to do everything and I had to stay home and make their beds and help in the house, and they were allowed to hang out with their friends and I couldn't do that. So feeling the traditional values pushed down on me in a new environment. It wasn't old school Italy. Now it was in Brooklyn, and I don't want to do all those things, but I guess I have to. So when I was growing up, there were many times where I wished that I was one of the brothers instead of their daughter, but now I'm happy to be a woman. We were raised in a different era because our parents were really traditional and that's what they did in their town. And then they came over to America where we were encouraged to go get our degree. And I remember that after the birth of my son, my parents said, okay, so now you're gonna stay home and take care of your son? And I said, why did you send me to college? Oh, that's what you do before, but now you're a mother and so that's what you gotta do. And I grew up always thinking like, I'm going to grow up and find my husband and get married and have a ton of children and live happily ever after. And then once I did grow up and find my husband, have our children, I realize now that it's not enough. I needed to be the teacher. I wasn't exactly sure what feminism, the definition was. So when I looked it up and it said equal rights for women, I'm like, of course, how could I not be a feminist? I think anything women can do, men can do, aside from give birth. And I think the same thing is true for men. I think that some jobs are usually better suited for one gender than another, but it doesn't necessarily mean that either gender can't perform those specific functions of our society. And I think that it's only fair that we just respect each other as humans and realize that we all have these amazing talents and strengths and weaknesses that we have to acknowledge. My mother always said to me, it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. But I think that lends itself to making apologies when they aren't necessarily needed. And so I often find myself feeling bad for, wanting to take a few extra minutes for myself in the day or being home later than I expected to. And I constantly feel this pressure of not being able to fit into that perfect mold. That as a teacher, I see some of these cultural norms popping up here and there, like especially in the beginning of kindergarten, children are like, boys use the blue crayon and girls use the pink crayon because blue is a boy color and pink is a girl color. And then we have a conversation about like, well, so what is red and brown and gray? And then the kids are like, they're colors. And so then we have that conversation, well, so is blue and so is pink, they're just colors. We study female scientists in addition to male scientists. And one of the first things that we do in the beginning of the year is draw a picture of what you think a scientist looks like. And almost 99% of the kids will always make a male scientist. And that it's easier to teach the kids how we want the world to be and to really get rid of all the stereotypes and the negativity. My mother, because you know, growing up, I always looked up to her, but it wasn't until I became a woman myself and, you know, moved out the first time, and I didn't realize how hard it was and how selfless she's been. And if I could go back, I would change and just be more appreciative and let her know earlier on that I appreciate everything that she's done for our family, because she's the most selfless woman I know. Raising 5 kids on her own, coming to a new country, not knowing the language, teaching herself and being a wife when she was just barely finished being a daughter, so young at 23, and just, she's amazing. So I didn't tell you enough before, Mommy, but I love you.
Oh, you do.
I do. And it's so sad that you don't realize how amazing your mother is until it's almost too late. Where it's, you know, there's so many years you could be so thankful for, and instead it's like you're a teenager, you're rebelling, you know, you don't want to be anything like your mother, and now it's like that's all I want to be, is just like her. Is it even? I feel like I belong in the Lorax.
Yeah.
Today, I nominate Xiomara Savignon to accept the Womanity Challenge. Xiomara, you are one of the strongest women I know, and I can't wait for the rest of the world to get a glimpse into your soul. Today, I commit to stop saying sorry. Just stop. Sorry.